Since we started Dynamic Krav Maga, we've been learning about the process people need to go through between being interested and actually coming along to training. The most common problems people express to me is their work and family commitments, and I get that. Jen and I have 3 daughters. We both come from a professional background, professional career background, managing change or leading change. And humans resist change. And that kind of work, it's mostly about presenting a compelling case that deliberately bringing about a period of controlled disruption will be worth it, that the benefits outweigh the pain. So embarking on something like Krav Maga training, it also represents big change, not just for the student, for the individual, for their partner, their children, their family, their workplace, their employer, their colleagues. And it's not just Krav Maga. It could be something else, learning a musical instrument, learning a new language, starting a side hustle. But the difference between people who do extraordinary things and those who live and die full of regrets is really just that the so-called lucky ones, they tick off their bucket list items because they make a plan, they take action, they adjust, they achieve. What I want to give you is it's a little method that's worked for me, and it's the very one I used when I started my own Krav Maga journey. I was 41 years old, had a mentally demanding management role, had a wife and 3 kids, and the only Krav Maga global school was all the way on the other side of town. So I call this the Canny method because we need an acronym. We don't really, but I'm going to use one anyway. So it stands for calculate. So is it time you need? If so, how much? Do you need to travel somewhere at a certain time? How long does it take to get there? What are the transport options? How much do they cost? Those sort of questions. Now, like, this is the part where you need to be really honest with yourself. Where can you start to win back the money and time required? Do you need to leave work earlier? Do you need to start later? If you always have dinner with the kids, can you change those times around? You start earlier or later? Is money tight? Most of us, if something's worth doing, we can adjust our spending if it's a good enough reason. So write all this down and make your case clearly, cost versus benefits. And a little tip here, most partners, kids, employees or employers, colleagues, they prefer to spend less time with a version of you that's happier and more present and more productive. So the next bit is to negotiate and start with yourself. You can't bullshit yourself. What changes are you prepared to make? This will be the hardest one that you'll do too, by the way. Then you can methodically and systematically start to work your way through your boss, your family, etc. My advice is don't assume or expect confrontation. This is negotiation. You're asking for something, but you'll be giving something too. Someone who's led a lot of people through improvements and change, I can tell you that switched on bosses, they prefer to be brought a solution to a problem, not just a problem. So if this is something that you need to do, if your life doesn't improve, at some point you will become their problem. Trial periods are also a good idea. So, let's try it for a month. If X, Y, Z doesn't happen, we'll revert to the way things were. Next part is innovate. So, okay, let's assume you've got permission from yourself, from your boss, your family. There'll still be little speed bumps, emergencies. You need to look after the kids. Can someone else help out? Grandparent, sibling, friend. You might miss one of your scheduled sessions. Carve out some time. Go to another one. Forego watching your footy team for a week. Take your kids along. Let them watch. You know what? If they see what you're doing, they'll follow your example. Sometimes when we're driving along the highway, a tree falls on it, especially in WA. Drive around it. Move on. Get back on the highway. And the last part is educate. And some of this will be unconscious. People will see your improved mood, your passion, your fire, and they'll ask you what's changed. Tell them. They'll tell you then in return about what they would do if they had the time, if they had the money, if they had the permission. Feel free to pass this method on to them, especially if they want to train with Dynamic Krav Maga.